Okay guys, welcome. This is going to be our first race-specific tutorial video for Exion Gaming. I'm here with Nezzy. What's up, Nezzy?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Nezzy is a very good Zerg player. I think he sits about 1,700 points right now in Masters, and he has got top 24 at WCS Canada, as well as top 6 in the SGPL Nationals. So very skilled Zerg player, and we're just going to be going over how to stop immortal sentry all-ins as a Zerg, because this is something that gives a lot of Zerg players trouble. So, what do you think the key points that people should take away from this are, Nezzy?
Just the general way of how to go about defending this. A lot of Zerg players try and defend it like with just Roach Ling at their third or like at their natural or something like that. I avoid all that and I just counterattack them.
Hmm.
I just try and skip the whole fight and just counter. Because with the Immortal Sentry all in, their army gets stronger as time goes on because they move out with just immortals and sentries, and then once they get to your base, maybe they have like a round of stalkers in it, and they have 7 gates powering behind it. So it just gets harder and harder to stop as time goes on. So if you sort of nip it just by counterattacking, it makes it quite a lot easier to defend.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think a lot of people, they just try and brute force it down with Roach Ling, but the thing is, this composition is entirely designed to hard counter Roach Ling because you have the +1 attack Zealots, and you have Immortals for the Roaches, so it's very hard to actually take that straight up.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's definitely possible to hold it in other ways just by flanking really well, but I find it's all just so much easier to counterattack that it's not really worth. And you can mess up flanking as well, right? Because if you mess up one flank, you're sort of just lose against this sort of all-in.
Hmm.
So I find just counterattacking is easier, more effective. So that's what I do.
Okay. So we see here, you have a drone patrolling on the bottom of the ramp. I think this is a very important thing to do if you see that they have gone for Forge first, which you have indeed scouted here. Because they could always just drop down 3 pylons and trap you in, and you can't saturate your natural, and it's bad times all around.
Yeah, and then once you see the gateway or the cannon going down at his natural, you know that he's not
Hmm.
trying to do some sort of cannon rush. You can pull the drone back in your main to mine. But if until then, until he drops a gateway or something like that, just keep the drone there.
Yep, very good thing to note. So, as for the opening of this game, it's very standard so far. It's just a Forge first FFE from Sarovati and a gasless 3-hatch pool build from Nezzy with the 14 pool and then dropping down his 2 hatcheries. So,
Yeah, I opt to get my second queen before my hatchery. Lots of Zerg players opt for their third hatchery before their second queen. I haven't really experimented with it. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. You can do whatever you feel comfortable with.
okay. It gives you a faster second larva inject, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
but on the other hand, your third is slower. But I play ZVP so much that like it's just so much easier for me to do what I'm comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
So if you prefer the third hatch before your second queen, whatever, lots of pro Zergs do it either way.
Okay, okay. So, what is the main thing you're looking for here with these overlords in his base?
Um, my overlord in his main is looking for whether he's taking both gases. MC did a 1 gas 7 gate build against Stefano, if you remember at Red Bull Battlegrounds, that beat him, or he used it twice and he won one, lost one.
Yeah, I remember
So
that
I'm
build.
just looking to see if he's taking the second gas here in case he's doing something like that. And also there's like some weird 1 gas, like 1 gate third builds or
Hmm.
something like that. There's some really weird fast 3 Nexus builds that they can do. So I'm just looking to see if he's taken both the gases main, like probably 95 times out of 100 he has, but in the off chance that he hasn't, it's good to know that he doesn't do that.
It's also important to have this second overlord in the natural, because not only do you want to look if he's gone up to 3 or 4 gas, some Protoss they will just take 1 gas in the main, and then they will take both gases at their natural, and if the Zerg player doesn't scout that, they can be defending an all-in that's never coming. So I think it's very important to have both these overlords scouting.
Yeah. And
Now,
also, a secondary thing that this Overlord of the Natural could do is sort of see where he's placing his core, because if he sees chrono boosting his core, it's probably at least some sort of gateway pressure, or he's doing like a fast like 3 stalker third or something like that. So it's important to know that if he's chronoing his core in this, like the way he positioned his buildings here, it makes it very hard for me to see his core with my Overlord being safe at the same time. Some Protoss put their core like by their Nexus here or something, which makes it a lot easier to see if they're chronoing it.
Some even put it in the main.
Yeah, that's true. So your Overlord in the main can also see if that's happening. So right now he's trying to fake some pressure. I know he's not doing that because I saw his super quick third gas, and he's on 4 gas now. And he didn't start his +1 until a little bit after his warp gate, so I know it's not any gateway pressure. He's just trying to fake me out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing to do if you're Protoss. It costs you, what, like 25 minerals, and you can potentially, you know, deny a whole bunch of drones if they're making links, so not a bad thing on his part to try, but you don't fall for it.
Yeah.
You're sending the Overlord back into his main. What are you looking for here?
I'm looking for any tech structures. These 3 gateways actually tell me absolutely nothing, to be honest, because so many Protoss get their gateways at this time if they're doing some sort of tech build, which is what I know he's doing anyway, because he hasn't done some gateway pressure yet. So I know he's teching. Seeing these 3 gateways also tells me he's teching, so it doesn't really tell me anything that I didn't know already.
Okay.
What would tell me something is these 3 gates here at the natural, but I don't see those quite yet.
Yeah. So back at home, I mean, you're just going through your standard stuff. You've got a layer, you've got a macro hatch coming. Now, you did take your 2 gases in the natural as opposed to your main right away. Is there any reason behind that?
Yeah, I generally just leave my gas in my main empty until I need my 5th and 6th gas. Because I find it easy just to get 16 drones in your main, rally your main to your natural, and don't worry about saturation in your main after that. Because if you get the 2 geysers and put 6 drones in the gas, you're going to need to like resaturate your main, which is one more thing you sort of have to worry about. I just rally to the natural and like don't worry about it.
Okay.
And when my natural saturate, just rally it to the 3rd. Okay, so at this point, I sacked an Overseer, and I saw that he had 7 gateways and Immortals and Sentries.
Yep.
So I know he's doing an Immortal Sentry all in.
Yeah.
So the moment I see that, look, my Roaches are at his 4th base. This is like not where he's going to attack from. He's going to attack through the middle here on like the right side of the Xel'Naga Tower. And he's going to go maybe up into my 4th base and go from there. He could also just go straight to my 3rd. Either way is fine from him, but he won't see these Roaches here collecting at his 4th.
Yeah.
So now this Overlord spots that his army's all the way over here, so I'm like, okay, time to counterattack. So, and he has to wait for Palin to come up, right? Because he wants at least 1 warping of Stalkers before he starts engaging, so he has to sit here and wait. Well, back at home, bam. His front is now being engaged. He tries to warp in sentries here on the low ground. That's not the best idea. As Protoss, you should try warping them in the main and just hold that, because you won't ever be able to hold your natural against a counterattack like this. So he's like, okay, skip this warping of Stalkers. I warped in at home sentries, so let's try and kill his 3rd. But guess what? Drone's already gone here. If you look at my natural, there's so many drones here because they all came from my 3rd, and I'm spining up mad because if he doesn't have a warp in his Stalkers, and he can't warp in anymore, because he doesn't have a Cybernetics core, he's not going to be able to kill this many spines. And if he does, his army is going to be so weak that I can just turn around with my army and kill it. So, I'm killing his natural here. I have Roach in his main, killing his main.
I think it's important to note that you split up your Roaches. You don't leave them all in his natural or all in his main. You want to deny as much mining as possible and sort of do as much damage as you can.
Yeah, make sure he's not mining.
Yeah.
You want to deny him warp-ins, yeah. So he runs up here into his to my natural, sees that I have like infinity spine crawlers and just GG's.
Yeah, straight away.
And even if he doesn't, like, let's say he had a warp-in of Stalkers or something, right? He sees this, pulls back, and sort of just kills his 3rd and comes back to defend. And let's say he warped in sentries in his main, so he doesn't have his natural, but he has his main, and he comes home to defend. Actually, you'll have quite a few Stalkers or quite a few Roaches at home yourself, and you'll have a lot of Roaches at his base that you can just kill his army at this point. So, there's like no way he will be ahead after a successful counterattack like this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really just sort of flipping the table on him. Like, he thinks he's gonna go and kill you, and then he dies before he can.
Yeah, exactly. And when he leaves, you can just retake your third. You have all the drones to saturate it right away. But make sure you save the drones. That's like the two most important things I can say about this is save your drones from your third and make sure he doesn't see your army counterattacking because it's always best for Protoss to turn around. Because like I said, this only gets stronger as time goes on. So like if he gets warpins of stalkers or something, if he turns around and defends, well guess what? He has more time, right? And the thing is, your army, it's just still going to be Roach Ling, right? Because if you're planning on counterattacking, you won't have tech coming behind it. So unless you have tech coming, you want to like sort of make the fight happen as soon as possible. You don't want to delay it too long. So you want to make sure he doesn't see it and turns around and makes things longer because you don't have tech coming behind it. You're just on Roach Ling. So you want to make sure he doesn't see your army. It's like super duper duper important he doesn't see a roach going towards like where you're counterattacking. Because if he sees like two roaches coming, he thinks, why are those roaches going over there? Are there more roaches over there? Let me turn around.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to avoid that completely.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very, very strong way to hold this push. I mean, he's you know where his army's going to be, you know what it's going to be, and you're just using that information to hit him in places that he's not going to have an army.
Yeah, and don't skip on spine crawlers here. Like I make almost 16 spine crawlers, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, you can afford to. You've got an economy advantage, you've got more workers, and you've had another base mining for quite some time.
Yeah, you can definitely afford it. There's no point not just building so many. Yeah, and there should be, if he doesn't turn around, there's like no way you can come out behind against this, even if you lose your third. If you keep all your drones, he can't break your nat, it's fine.
Okay, great guys. Well, if you have any questions about this, how to hold this all in, please leave them in the comment section. Yeah, we're going to be doing more of this for all three races, so make sure to stay tuned. And thank you, Nessie.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.